And there it is. I fucking expected it. Now it crashed. Is my stream still happening? No, I guess it did, but now it doesn't. No. It's live again, but it crashed. Fuck me, man. What is wrong with today?
Follow me.
An enemy has been slain. An ally has been slain. Double kill. Slain an enemy. Your middle tower is under attack.
I don't know why, man. It says it's completely fine on OBS, but Twitch is not happy. I don't understand it. But at least it's back up now. But that does mean the bot's kind of screwed. That's so annoying. Bitrate is still red. Yeah, I'm sorry guys, I don't know why. There's literally nothing wrong with my internet from what I can see. It's purely on Twitch's end.
Killing spree. Shut down. Killing spree.
Like music to my ears.
An enemy has been slain.
Oh my.
I'm on my way.
Ultimate is down.
Just wait, man. Just wait, he's gonna walk up for the fucking wave. I get close enough, I wall him off. Then he dies.
Enemy
And now it's back to being green at least.
Fear me.
An enemy has been slain.
Follow me.
My deepest apologies.
An ally has been slain.
I'm on my way.
An enemy has been slain.
I need the jungle bus!
Your middle tower is under attack.
Be careful. Enemy missing middle.
I'm gonna back off the next wave actually.
Lab.
Enemy ultimate down.
Ultimate is down.
Like music to my ears.
Your middle tower.
I always
is under
accidentally
attack.
auto one more time.
Enemy missing middle.
An enemy has been slain.
Enemies at the Cold Fury.
Ultimate is ready.
slain. An enemy has been slain. An ally has been slain. An ally has been slain.
Defend the gold you bear. That will not be an issue. The pyromancer has arrived.
Your left tower is under attack. An enemy has been slain.
You are dull and battle against
Hot golly.
Haven't needed to use beats a single time so far. Fucking Fenray is not sitting on me.
Enemy spotted.
Absolutely spiffy.
Cancel that.
I'm on my way.
Retreat.
They shan't cross me.
An ally has been slain. Killing spree.
On my way.
Killing spree. An enemy has been slain. Your middle tower is under
Might need,
attack.
but
Your right
I don't actually know
tower
what to
is
build.
under attack.
I think team beats might still be good. They have so much shit, man. Having 2 beats will
Your
definitely
middle
not hurt.
tower is under attack. Your right
I actually
tower
think I will
is
do that.
under attack.
Then even maybe Magi's later, because their team comp is so disgusting in terms of CC.
You have slain an enemy.
A bit closer than I would have liked.
That kind of hurt.
Behind us. Enemy spotted.
An enemy has been slain.
No one here?
Enemy is in the left jungle.
Fenrir could be soon. I'm just gonna back.
Behind us.
Hercules is not happy with your decision.
No one, Fenrir is on our fucking speed.
An ally has been slain.
Enemy missing right. Be careful left.
Behind us.
Killing spree. Shut down. Double kill. Rampage.
That's no risk to go.
Triple kill.
If you go for 1 damage from Capri these days, would it be physical int? It would be strength, yeah. He just scales more with strength. And you'll probably just go for, at the moment, something like Erendite for movement speed, something like that. Probably be the best choice. You could even go Serrated. I don't think that's very bad on him either. Yeah, you better go the other way. I'm taking your tower for that.
Attack! Back into legendary operation.
Another city conquered.
The enemy team has destroyed.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why we're chasing this Ymir.
Your team has
To be honest with you, don't really think it's gonna make a difference.
An ally has been slain. Your left tower is under attack. Your left tower. Killing spree.
Let me catch up.
Your right tower is under attack. Double kill. The enemy team has destroyed the pyro. Shut down. Your middle tower is under attack.
On my way.
Unstoppable. Your right tower is under attack. Your team has destroyed a left enemy tower.
Aladdin becoming unkillable, or fed, I should say, not
Your
unkillable,
right tower
is bad.
under attack.
Real bad.
Enemies have returned to base.
Your right tower is under attack.
Enemy missing right. Be careful, middle.
Your team has destroyed a middle enemy tower.
Be right back.
Oops. That's not what I wanted to press. At least it's a low cooldown.
On my way.
On my way. Ultimate is ready.
Has been slain.
Enemy missing. Be careful left.
Yes. Enemy missing middle.
An ally has been slain.
Absolutely spiffy.
Your middle tower is under attack. Your right tower is under attack.
That is not what I wanted to press. My fucking god.
The enemy team has destroyed the fire giant.
I mean, what are we doing? We actually just let them get fire for free.
Has been slain.
And we're still dying 2v1 over in duo. It's just a weird game.
The pyromancer has arrived.
What about Runeforged? It's fine. Like, I just think I have better items in Kraken than that,
Your
personally.
right tower is under attack. Your middle tower is under attack. Your middle tower.
Retreat.
It's not bad, though. I just... Like, if someone bought it, I wouldn't be like, what the fuck? Personally, I just haven't really felt like I'd like it very much. On Kraken, specifically. On paper, it is, though.
turret is down.
Yeah, the thing is, like, Pablo isn't a bad player. I reported him not because he was bad, but because he was, like, it felt like he was trolling. Maybe he wasn't, I'm not too sure. But
Your right tower is under attack. Your right tower has been slain.
I'm definitely dead.
They shan't cross me.
An ally has been slain.
Nope, I live.
Double kill.
My whole team's dead though.
Spree. The enemy team has destroyed the Gold Fury. Triple kill.
Hercules is not happy with your decision.
That'll tide me over.
Your right tower is under attack.
It's fucking creeps and shit everywhere, man.
Good game.
It's absolutely fucking crazy.
Yes, please.
I am the best.
This game is over by now. I'm fully down to surrender it. I used to be such an F7 warrior, but like surely people can see when the game is over, especially in our current meta.
Enemy
We ain't coming back from this. Though I think in this one is mostly just a skill dev.
I'll gang
Like we have there's Asta on fucking Aladdin being fed as shit. We have Shuya on the fat Fenrir who's also building tank as fuck.
An ally has been
People just walking up and dying. Like, what are we doing, man? Why is Ares walking up just alone here? Maybe we could have fought, like fight as 5, but we're never 5. People just getting caught in the jungle.
embraced by divine renewal.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Embraced by divine renewal. Embraced by divine.
No, I don't like Rise going for it. We should just bait them. Now when they know that we know. We don't want to know that. We want them. We don't want them to know that we know. We want to bait them.
Bask in celestial restoration.
Dude, there's no way Cupid ran in there knowing they were there. That's crazy.
Your middle tower is under attack. An ally has been slain. Rampage. Your middle tower is under attack. An ally has been slain.
Shit, I don't know why I didn't beats. That's my can on me. But I had beats.
Has been slain. Your middle tower has been destroyed. Deicide. Your middle phoenix is under attack.
I'm gonna ask questions now, Mr. Cupid. Cause what in the fuck am I seeing?
Your Titan is under attack. An ally has left the game. Your Titan is under attack.
Eclipsed in radiance.
Cupid was healed from that. Maybe there's a chance now.
Shut down. Your left tower is under attack. Be careful. Your left tower is under attack.
No problem.
Your left tower is under attack.
I should have just gone Sonder, man.
An ally has returned. Enemy team has destroyed the fire.
Should have just gone Sonder. Would not have made a difference there either way, but
An ally has left.
I very much expected
Okay.
them to somehow camp me a bit, because Ymir, Hades, Fenrir would so easily shit on Kebrakan during the laning phase. I would have zero counterplay if I don't go beats. And they didn't show up once.
Your titan is under attack.
So I feel bamboozled. Once again, wouldn't have made a fucking difference. Realistically, I just shouldn't have gone beats. I should have just gone Sonder and then just go for an early beats item instead. Like, just first item beats item. But yeah, I don't really think there was much to do in this one. I do think we're kind of screwed by MR here. They just had a better overall, I think, skill players. That's fine, it happens. Don't worry about it. Can't have a good game every game. Forgot the button was for my ability. I almost died as a result of that. Why I went beats? I went beats because I expected Hades and Fenrir with a Ymir to camp the shit out of me. They didn't even show up once. I was so prepared. I said most of the game I should have just gone Sunder. It wasn't worth it. I expected to get camped. I really did. With a comp like that. Like, letting the Kebrakan go through felt like a, yes, please pick the Kebrakan so we can camp the shit out of you with a specific comp. Like, it had all the signs. Been there too many fucking times. But, yeah. Turned out, didn't matter. Yeah, they might have seen the beats and not cared for it, but I feel like they wouldn't have stopped them and at least would have tried once, right? Would have at least tried once. I did this for you! Kill me! Or try, or whatever. Gank me. I think either way, it was bad for me to go beats. If anything, I should have gone Shell instead. Because the walls have a higher chance of fucking me up, honestly, than all the CC. But again, I mean, I think in that game it would have mattered what I went with. Like, Beats was fine, especially if we get to team fighting, because then I'm just gonna be on like an unCCable Cabrakan running around, you know? Because you guys had Artemis and shit as well. I think the Beats was good. It just never mattered. Because we were never able to fight back. Oops. That was close. Like, every time I rotated anywhere outside of maybe one gang to duo, like, we were just always losing. People diving too far for kills and not getting them, or getting them but trading like 2 for 3 or some shit like that. Or like, no, the other way around, like 2 for 1. But yeah, that was a Sunder diff. Like, the level 3 kill, that was a Sunder diff. If I had Sunder, I'd probably, like, we might have killed each other, but I would have killed you as well. That was a bit rough. That was the first moment in the game I realized I should have gone Sunder. Because not having Sunder sucks. Because then you're dealing with someone who has Sunder, and you're just in a losing matchup, because they have more damage than you. Oh shit. No! Oh, this is really not good. Okay, I need to remember that second jump. I gotta fucking hit the ground way earlier. I'll ban Gabrakan this time. He's just kind of boring. I don't want to play him again. I do not know what to play though. Oh. Maybe I do Odin?
Select your god.
No, first picking Odin feels like ass. I'll do a Goopiest game. It's been a little while. I want to play something magical. That isn't Cabrakan. It's not like Templeman is bad, I think. Like, he's fine, but I don't know how his mental is. It might have not have helped with, like, our teammates being kind of annoying towards him. I don't know. I don't know him well enough to really have any opinion on him. Like, I'm also generally somewhat of a... I mean, without stroking myself, I guess. Without, like... I'm just generally a nice person, I guess. Like, I like giving people the benefit of the doubt. I don't want to just instantly go to people being assholes. I like to think that maybe they just have a bad day, you know? Everyone has bad days. Sometimes we'll take it out on someone else. It's not okay, but that shit does happen. That being said, I have zero tolerance for it, like, being multiple times. You will go on the shit list real fast, but I will give you the benefit of the doubt at least once. I feel like too many people don't realize that, you know, it's actual humans playing sometimes. Like sometimes people have bad days, or I don't know, they're just in a bad mood or whatever. Like, I don't think obviously that's always an excuse, but I do think it's worth taking into account. Like, people aren't just borderline assholes at all times. Some people simply just have a bad day. I think it's kind of shitty to ignore it. I do think obviously there's a limit to how big of an asshole you can be just because you have a bad day, but it's also up to the person as well. Like, if you have a bad day, maybe don't play your online games, or if you do, don't communicate, or, you know, whatever. Have your own limitations so that you aren't just ruining experience for someone else. I don't have the money for this. Dude, I don't have the money for any of this shit. Damn, well, that sucks. So, anyway. This one's a Beats game. Definitely. It's either Beats or an Aegis game. I think I need to go Beats. Let me guess, Chaka would assume. Yeah. Why am I using this shitty skin? Is this really the default skin I have on? That sucks, man. I need to change that. This skin's kinda ass. The albino is cool, but not a huge fan of the coloring on the clothing. Dracula still plays. I think he just goes under a different name. It's pretty much the same though. It is still like Vladdy something. Because that dude is still super high on the SR list. I have not seen Attorney. But that's also a name that I haven't seen much when I came back to Smite in Season 11. Like, he barely even played in Season 11. When I came back.
Minions have spawned.
Well, Vladdy could also be someone else. Actually. Suppose we'll see. Still. Could also be the same. He's pretty good. He wasn't really someone I knew very well. At all.
Thanks. Let the eternal darkness embrace you. In my grasp. First blood.
I want the rocks. Probably gonna lose a creep or two for this. Going for these as a noob is also slightly risky, I feel like.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Damn, not a single creep lost. That's crazy. Super worth. We do have a few people autopiloting the same gods though in Smite 2 as well. We have Yugador only playing Mordred. We currently have the... I forgot what his actual name was before. It was like a bunch of numbers and shit. But the guy who's currently playing Hades in mid as well right now. That dude only plays Hades. For the most part. Rarely do I see him play something else. He'll play it in any role too. go.
An ally has been slain. Your left tower is under attack. Double kill.
Dude, no, man. This can't keep happening. I can't keep meeting Pablo and he's just gonna shit on my fucking dual lane.
Your left tower is under attack. Killing spree.
There's no way.
Ultimate is ready. So basic.
Why are we pausing? Guess we're not pausing. How's the new noob assault? It's good. I mean, I think it's better than the old one because it has the big burst in the beginning. It's quite powerful.
Double kill. Killing spree.
It's huge. Huge.
Your right tower is
Actually, I
under
should go
attack.
Chronos Pendant in a second. So setting that for quite a while until late game teamfights. He's currently he's probably one of the more high damaging ones, mages early on. His one just does a lot of damage. These damn pauses. I think Anubis becomes pretty good. I mean, it's also obviously different from solo to mid. In solo, I think you're a lot more of a sitting duck. Who? Who left? I can't see it. I think it's a lot more of a sitting duck in solo because you're generally dealing with like a warrior who tends to be just way better early on. You can't really fight them until they have a few other items online. But once you have like 2 or 3 items online, you're fine. You're good to go. In mid, like he has the best wave clear in mid probably. He is lagging a bit. I won't hit him while he's lagging. My dude's struggling. Oh god.
An enemy has left the game.
Okay.
An enemy has returned. An enemy has returned.
Okay.
He's still lagging like crazy.
Some.
Is this server just cooked for them?
An enemy has been slain.
I think he's still alright. He went into the tower, but he is definitely lagging. Pretty fucking crazy.
Enemy missing.
Your left tower is under
Ultimate is
attack.
down.
Enemy missing right.
Your left tower is under attack.
It's an ad for Exa. It's like... Pretty much, yeah. Though I doubt that it's a server problem. If you're lagging that hard, it's probably not the server. It looks like he's good. Maybe.
An ally has been slain. Your left tower is under attack.
a second. Is this aspect chuck? No, it's not, but he still went damage first. One tick, man. I missed the initial hit. That sucks. Yeah, I gotta rotate left eventually. Take care of that Artemis.
That was awesome!
Your left tower is under attack. The abyss. Are in my grasp. You have slain an enemy. An enemy has left the game.
I couldn't tell he was still lagging. I don't think he was. Oh well. It's unfortunate. There was some weird lagging issues in the server for them, it seemed. Right. Back to the Q game. Actually, only like 15 shards away. That sucks. Or stars. Toa, stop. I guess I'll go this way. See what the question mark is. This game is great for queuing though. It's actually super fun. Speed boost hypothesis. Sure. Landing, 7% chance to get boost. Okay, sure. Awesome. I'm fast. Damn. This game has such a nice chill flow. My first S rank too. I guess it's based on speed more than it's based on how many stars you get. I'm not really sure where the ranking comes from. God damn it. That started so fast. I wasn't fucking ready. It's also really well animated. Like the running and all that, and speed. Like there's no awkward animations I feel like in this. It's always cool to see. Like I think truly being able to show how fast someone is going in 3D can be pretty tough at times. Granted, I'm not a specialist on this, but I just feel like it's very often fucked up. You just don't feel fast at all. What am I banning? Start by banning the cap. Maybe I'll do an Afro game. If she's open. She's not. Surprise. And the Sobek. I'll play Bari as well if she's open. Perfect.
Select
Then I'll play
your
Thor.
god.
Bans feel so standard at the moment. It's just always the same. No! Get me back up! Oh my god. I'm alive. Dude, the stars baited me to try and run into that shit. That was crazy. Why is this game so much better and more fun than Smite? It is because it is... Probably is. Yeah, it just is. Because this game has nothing negative that pisses you off. Yet. At least. It's just pure fun. Oh, look at this. Wait, collect 5 stars. From where? Are they inside? Oh, they're inside. Ow. Okay, you can hit the you can hit the walls. Good to know. So I need momentum. Gotcha. Damn, cool map. I like creativity like that. That's cool. So it's not just races, basically. It's awesome. Love to see it. What am I against? Who knows? Okay, great. That's fantastic. Could be anything. But I am guessing...
Amazing.
Actually, I don't know. A Wheelix A to C. Vulcan mid, probably, right? Aladdin then? It's gotta be either Vulcan or Aladdin. Might buy. I highly recommend it. I think it's really cool. And I found out this morning as well when I looked at the page. Actually, no, it was when I opened the game. It's at Landfall as a developer, and I was like, wait, haven't I seen that recently? And it was also Cluster Truck, the game that I was playing on stream before. It's the same developer. I thought that was really cool. I didn't know. It's the same style of game, for sure. But there's a lot of games like that. Like the speedrun type games. I have another one on my list that I'll play eventually. The name is escaping me at the moment though, but I wrote it down, so... It's White something? It's also like a fast-paced... I think there's more action in that though. It's a fast-paced kind of speedrunning game as well, but it's kind of like Ghost Runner, I guess. It's basically a Ghost Runner type game. Where it's more about killing enemies fast, rather than, you know, it being like a speedrun. I also haven't played Ghost Runner 2, so I do need to do that. Eventually, I'll get to that as well. If I'll end up needing a queue game, that is. Here's Aladdin. I mean, my lane should be pretty fucking easy then.
Okay. Stay here.
Record!
Wow.
Follow them!
You're welcome.
Nice job. An ally has been slain.
How many creeps am I missing? It's gonna be like 1 or 2. 1. Okay.
Your left tower is under attack. Your right tower is under attack.
Okay.
An ally has been slain. Your left tower is under attack.
Can you shut the fuck?
Guy left lane.
This lobby is already, it's so typical, stereotypical online. It's actually crazy.
Your left
Everyone hates each other before nothing's happened, or before anything's even happened yet. Beautiful.
Enemy missing.
Enemy missing right.
Ultimate is ready.
I don't know why he's actually just even hitting me.
double kill. Your left tower is under
Enemy
attack.
ultimate down.
Be quiet before I make you.
Your left tower is under attack.
I still got him, thank fuck.
Rampage.
Oh well. That was badly played. Oh, he's just stood still. I didn't expect him to. Why did he just stand still, even after I landed? He just wanted the wave, I guess. Then he almost survived too.
Okay.
Enemy missing right.
Completed.
Enemies have returned right like their head.
No, man. Ah,
Okay.
they're both low.
Enjoy yourself.
That sucks. Should be the Barkers at least. Eventually.
An enemy has been slain. Your right
I
tower
backpedaled a bit
is
too
under
much. I was just way too observant and trying to avoid the knock-up on the Wheelix, but kind of forgot the Aladdin ult was gonna be back up.
Your right tower is under attack.
Couldn't really respond with my ult. Actually, was Aladdin's ult up before mine?
Ultimate is ready. Enemy missing. Bye bye.
I'll zone a bit.
An ally has been slain. Unstoppable.
You've made me very happy. Enemies at the Gold Fury.
Your left tower is under attack.
No, how did they reach? Or how did they not reach?
Enemy ultimate down.
He's got such a big lead now as well because of that fucking gank.
Who might you
Oh, if I just had cooldown, man. If I just had fucking cooldown.
An ally has been slain. Your left
What are they even
tower
arguing
is
about?
under attack.
If my mouse would work. I could check. No, mouse, please. Oh well.
Your right tower is under attack. Your left tower is under attack.
I'm curious what they're arguing about. I tried, didn't work. I just zoomed my camera in instead, like that.
Amazing.
Dude, I can't believe how many patches it's been and they still haven't fixed the chat. It's so glitchy in so many ways.
Gash.
Fuck it, I'm rotating.
Okay, thanks.
Your left tower is under attack. You have slain an enemy.
Enemies behind us.
Your right tower is under attack.
Retreat! Retreat! Enemies incoming! Cavalry! Record! Let's settle this!
Your left tower is under attack.
Don't know why I fought him knowing this would happen.
Enemies incoming.
Come on, mana.
Enemies incoming right.
Alright, I'm good.
Your left tower is under attack.
Safe. Legitimately, just one person needs to show up when I'm fighting Aladdin and he dies. On the spot. He just explodes.
Your left tower is under attack. Your middle tower is under attack.
Well, who might you be? Help middle lane.
Your middle tower is under attack.
The Pyromancer has arrived.
Enemies at the gold fury.
Your middle tower is
Enemies
under
in right
attack.
lane.
I really want to just tell Anuwa to shut the fuck up. He's so obnoxious. It's a bit of a late ult. Would have been good if he did it earlier. The thing is, it's not like Nuwa is necessarily wrong. Like, Loki is definitely maybe not super good, but the way he's just acting and saying things is just obnoxious shit. He's so annoying.
Enemies behind us. Okay. Wow.
I mean, this is good for me.
Enemies incoming left.
Slain an enemy.
Ward the gold
I thought he had a higher chance of getting out if he just tried to run away, rather than ult me, because now he's stuck with me in there with full HP, or I'm full HP and he's not.
Enemy spotted.
Yes. Retreat.
Yeah, feels good to have mana, finally. I'll just do tower.
Ward the gold fury.
We have zero pressure on the dual lane side of things, so I don't really want to try and rotate over there for now. Not when I just got some control of mine.
Enemy missing middle. Enemies incoming left toward the gold fury. Well, well.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Wow.
Let's settle this!
You have slain an enemy.
Ultimate is
He missed
ready.
ult this time, that's good for me.
Defend the
I could have ulted as a response, I just hoped he missed instead. But that actually could have been bad for me if he did hit it.
Wow, you're good.
The enemy team has destroyed the gold fury.
I'll go for some damage in this one, I think we need it.
Quiet, please.
Be careful, guys. If you see a guy called Lust, be prepared. This dude's something.
An ally has been slain.
Ward left. Wow, you're good.
Double kill.
Noah, do you do anything instead of just ulting? Or just spamming your rock?
Your left
Just spamming your rock, okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, you should do that also.
Your left tower has been destroyed.
I feel the love in the air.
Your
Must
left
be
tower
Valentine's
is
Day.
under attack.
Good luck. You'll need it. Enemies behind us.
I'll let Cupid take all these waves.
Your middle tower is under attack. Your middle tower has been destroyed.
This feels like a theme today.
Enemies at the fire giant. Well, well. Who might you?
The enemy team has destroyed the
You
pyramid.
made me very
Your
happy.
right tower is under attack. An enemy has been slain. Killing spree. An ally has been slain.
Enemies incoming right. Retreat.
Be careful, right.
Should be fine.
Enemies at the fire giant.
I couldn't ignore the juicy wave. Do a Magi's Cloak. For the Awilix knock up, Vulcan knock up. I guess and the Bacchus knock up. Goddamn. They went full ham on the Awilix comp.
Tower is
Enemies
under
in the
attack.
right jungle.
Enemy missing right.
Enemies in the right jungle.
Into the left!
An enemy has been slain.
No, the dash. Well, this is beast and ult, so still worth trade for me.
Slain.
Enemy missing. Defend the gold fury.
spamming ulti, man. To get top damage. That's the only thing you can do at this game.
Dude, fucking Wheelix, man. I
It took you 5 minutes to type this. Oh man. Typer. Nice.
It would be nice if I had just someone with me. Dude, Aladdin dies every time he ult me, if I just had someone else with me too. I feel like I'm playing alone this game.
The Pyromancer has arrived.
You've made me very happy.
Gash.
Enemies at the fire giant.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Wait, how did Morgan miss their one?
Destroyed
Fuck.
the Gold Fury.
I mean, what am I watching actually? That was kind of weird.
Enemies incoming right. Enemies incoming right.
On my way.
An ally has
Okay, I
been
mean, that was kind of criminal, I'm not gonna lie.
An ally has been slain.
Yes. Good luck. You'll need it.
My Sunder is not up for this.
The enemy team has destroyed the fire giant. Shut down.
Damn. I wish I had Sunder. I actually would have had it if I had Sunder up.
Your right tower has been
It's crazy.
Defend middle lane.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Back middle lane.
Get up to this.
Shut down. Your middle phoenix is under attack.
There we go. That's dagger.
Retreat. An ally has been slain.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't really a good fight anymore.
An enemy has been slain. An ally has been slain.
Kind of worked out in the end. Whatever happened in the lamp was good.
Retreat.
What am I thinking about? Hope this got mad love Discord. I feel like it doesn't matter what I build into their team comp, they're gonna just super shit on me anyway. I might just go for some damage for my last item. I actually forgot, what is it now? Yeah, it's 500 damage on objectives, but like it obviously depends on who it is and like how much is in a god, I think. No, that's not true, it's true damage, isn't it? But like it's being nerfed again as well next patch. Which is good. I do think it is. It's back. The sun is also hitting my screen. Don't do that.
The
I don't
enemy
like it.
team has destroyed the Gold Fury.
Enemy spotted.
That should help.
We need wards.
Wow,
Let's go ward fire.
The enemy team has destroyed the pyramids.
We're not really in much of an invade meta, are we? I wouldn't say that we are, at least. We were last meta, before they nerfed Sunder again. People are just kind of doing their own jungle at the moment, it feels like.
Enemy missing middle. Enemies incoming right. Retreat. Retreat right lane.
An ally has been slain. An enemy has been slain.
Yes.
Your right tower is under attack. Retreat! Your right tower is under attack. Your right tower is under attack. An ally has been slain.
I don't know why we're trying to defend that one, boys. That shit's over, now we're losing Phoenix as well.
Your right Phoenix is under attack. Your right Phoenix has been destroyed.
Nuwa is just fucking pushing waves.
Your Titan is under attack.
Dude, stop with the fucking keyboard warrior bullshit and just play the fucking game.
Play what, man? It's lost.
cancel that.
We could have won, we're just not trying to at the moment, we're just dying for no reason.
Yeah, I try, man, but I stun a Willix under the tower and no one hits here. So what?
The enemy team has destroyed the fire giant.
Wow, you're good.
It's fine, just ignore the Nuwa. You're doing fine, we just need to group.
Yes, follow me. Group up.
If they are going for Phoenix, it's also
We need wards. Wow, you're good. Enemies incoming left.
I think Loki's is gonna die here eventually, I'm not really sure we can do anything about it.
no, I can't. Sorry, man. Yeah, I know, but for real, I can't.
An ally has been slain.
Wow, you're good. Wow, you're good. On my way.
Hard misbeats.
Nice combo.
Try to get me out, man.
Nice try, bro. Nice try, bro.
Nah, it was crazy good. It was crazy good.
Get me out of this lamp.
Your middle Phoenix has been destroyed.
Oh, that would have been huge actually. Unfortunately, the 3 missed.
Your Titan is under attack. An enemy has been slain.
Fucking voice command.
Get out of here.
There's too many fucking fire minions.
Your Titan is under attack.
We need war. Wow.
Your right Phoenix is under attack. Your Titan is under attack.
Pummel them, Genie.
Alright. Yeah, no, Nua is just obnoxious. I should just muted her, because she's just... She's not really worth the time. Just annoying to listen to. It's weird though. I really do feel like how is the SR so stacked against me today? I only lost 34. Exactly my point. How do I lose 34? How is SR so... Dude, I've lost nothing today, despite everything. That's actually crazy. Minus 80. I mean, it's based on SR, so like if you're against a team that is super stacked against you and you won, then you're gonna you're gonna get a lot. But if you're on the opposite side, like I was here, then you barely lose anything. So that just means you were against a team that you should have won against, I guess. It's just weird. Like I won a good game today. The only good game I've had today was, I don't know. Have I have a good game today? I think there was one. No, there wasn't. It's been one-sided every game. This one, yeah, that guy just fed. This one, we just completely stomped. This one, my team got shit on. Like, it's been stomps every day, every game today. It's fucking hot though. Dude, I'm gonna do it right now. I'm gonna look for my fan. Give me a second. Perfect. Obviously, I cannot put it on me because otherwise you guys are gonna hear it and it's gonna be real annoying. But I will just put it like to the side a bit so that it at least hits my shoulders or something. And it just creates some circulation. It's getting hot today. So I'm just checking some messages that I got. Right, this is what I'm doing. Damn it! No, man. Oh, you just lose the challenge like that? Shit. it. Oh well. So this is a boss level, huh? Not really sure what that entails just yet. Dude, where am I even going? Okay, I'm just dead. I wasn't sure where to go. Damn it! Oh man. I missed both these. Hello, Nectura. Pleasure as always. It's the same developer actually, Nectura. I noticed that when I opened the game. It is Landfall, same developers as Cluster Truck. So I found that really cool and very fitting to go from that game to this game. Schedule 1. No, I haven't played Schedule 1. I don't really know what that is. What the genre is it? Or like what type of game is it? But I'm glad it inspired something in you. Oh shit, I'm supposed to be banning. Damn it, I didn't realize. Oh well. It's a drug dealing empire simulator, damn. Okay. Go up and play with friends. I might check it out with some friends. I'll check it out.
Select your god.
I don't feel like playing Cabrakan, man. I don't. But I really don't want to deal with it. It's so boring to deal with. So I will just fucking pick it. Because if I pick something for fun here, I'm just gonna meet Cabrakan and it's gonna be miserable. No fun allowed. That's why I banned it, but I'm stupid and I forgot because I was playing the game. No, gravity nonsense. Okay. I was debating on whether I should just figure out what those things were doing. I'm glad I know now. It's a stay away situation also. Where the fuck am I going? No, man. It's hard to tell which direction to go sometimes. I'm in game, but I would like to finish this level real fast. Can I make it? I don't see the end. Oh my god, it tapped out. Okay, that should be fine. Place to stop. Damn it, it tapped out at a bad time. Afro was open? Shit. I messed up in picks and bans, man. I messed it up. Oh well. Did you finish the trucks game? No, I finished the campaign, but that was like Christmas levels and Halloween levels and stuff like that. But I did finish the campaign, yeah. I'll actually open it right now on Steam. Let me check it out. Schedule 1. The fucking picture on it though. Why does this game seem so... I'm not sure how to put it. It's really good. Yeah, I can imagine. I've been playing Repo. Repo is... it's like a Lethal Company type game. But that's just fun as hell, man. I've been playing with 2 friends. We've been addicted to it since it came out, pretty much. We're having so much fun with it. Dude, that's weird. This time they spawned at 117 rather than 120. Kind of weird. Why were they early this time? Oh, we're against the Gabu Fenrir. Didn't realize. What am I against? Student Eye and Gabu? Yeah, don't forget about Pedro, yeah. Guy's a G. Suppose that remains to be seen.
Enemies in the right jungle.
Now I control these. The rocks are mine. I don't like the rock maxing meta, by the way. I think it's kind of annoying. Does he have Sunder? He does not. He has Blink. Blink, huh? Okay, man. Just hit the buff, man. That sucks. That really sucks. Why does this happen every time? Today is a nightmare. Nothing goes my way. My junglers are always just mediocre, or worse than the enemy junglers. I just fall behind today.
Your left tower is under attack.
No blue buff Gabrakan is gonna suck. But at least I have 4 rocks. My only salvation. I need more rocks though.
I'll attack right lane.
He didn't just steal my rocks though, did he? He wouldn't do that.
Enemies in right lane. Be careful.
Good man.
An ally has been slain.
I'm glad he knows
An ally
whose
has
rocks
been
those
slain.
are.
Enemy missing left.
Your middle tower is under attack. Your right tower is under attack.
Bit too close for comfort, not gonna lie. He healed so much off of the wave. Thank God he went booked, man. If he had soul gem there, I would have been dead. He already healed too much and probably dealt too much damage for me to deal with. I am gonna need beats in this game, I think. Fenrir Hades. Hercules.
Has been slain.
It's fantastic.
Right lane.
On my way.
Your left tower is under attack.
I saw that Neath rotation, that was kinda nice.
Enemy missing left.
Damn, he's so
Been
cooked.
slain.
We just haven't done any damage here.
Killing spree. Your right
The
tower
rocks are
is under
taken,
attack.
it's the worst.
Your middle tower is under attack. Your middle tower is under attack. Your right tower is under attack.
Oh well, did enough damage for Hades to die at least, that's good, but man, I would love having someone with me and just today, honestly. Just today. I feel like you made your own decisions on that, Nectura. There is another person you could blame for those choices. And it's not the president. Right? No? Okay, fair enough.
Okay.
Enemy missing left.
An ally has been slain. Your right tower is under attack. The enemy team has destroyed the Gold Fury.
I didn't even realize how far behind we are, man. Like, what is happening today? How is everyone losing every single time? How is my duo lane getting so shit on every game? What is wrong with today? I hate being top elo. It was way easier to win when I was lower elo.
Enemy missing left.
Dude, Hades is stealing all my fucking rocks now. It's actually the worst timeline.
Slain an enemy. Your right tower is under attack. The pirate has arrived.
Percussion.
Slain an enemy. An enemy.
Oh well. Good trades.
Yes.
Finally I can get to the good items. Yeah, the rocks are permanent, they spawn every 1.5 minutes. And they are generally something the solo takes at the in the current meta. Between waves. Like, I'll even choose it over the wave, because they're permanent, so... It's even more important than something building a full tank, because you can basically get a full
Under attack.
item's worth of stats through it.
Right tower is under attack. Your right tower is
Man! He would have died if I caught him there. Still good just trading a Hades ult for nothing. But
free.
doesn't really change the fact that duo lane is just getting absolutely hammered.
Your middle tower is under attack.
This doesn't really look like a good fight anymore.
Your left tower is under attack.
Enemy missing left.
Rampage. Your middle tower is under attack.
On my way.
Double kill. Your middle tower is under attack. Your right tower is under attack.
You have been slain.
None of them backed. Oh well. I think it's over anyway, but I wanted to try for something.
Is under attack. Your right tower has been destroyed.
Yeah, it's always been 2. They haven't changed it. So now I have an extra 20 of... Is it each you get, or just your highest? I actually forgot about that. I think it's just both. Which is crazy on someone like Gabrakan who scales with both. So I have 20 just extra right now. Yeah, I mean the rocks are pretty OP if you can stack them on a single person, for sure. Like getting 1 or 2 won't really matter, but having 10, I think that's where it starts making a difference.
Enemy missing left.
Killing spree.
They're just perma-rotating as well. And we keep trying to fight them in mid, and I guess we just can't. We just don't have a good combo into them, I suppose. I'm not really too sure what the problem is. I feel like Neath Armor should have a good chance of fighting them.
An ally has been slain. Your middle tower is under attack. Shut down. Your middle tower has been destroyed.
There's no way he got killed by the one... Oh my god, man. I have no words. I don't know what to do about this. I probably should have just surrendered. It once again just feels like a gigantic skill diff. In every lane.
Your left tower is under attack.
It doesn't really matter if I'm playing Broken Gabrakan. If I'm the only one in the team, I can't really kill anything.
Your left tower is under attack.
That's why I got DPS. I mean, I suppose the one time... I actually went Anubis, but my team still got shit on. The only reason why they surrendered that game was because they had laggy issues. Like, weird laggy issues, and they surrendered like pre-10 minutes. I was 4-0 on Anubis that game, but my whole team, like, the enemy ADC was like 5 and 0, you know? So absolutely chase this. Dude, Amma didn't chase with me! How did she run with me on blue? I mean, never mind. She just fucking got a double there for that. That works out in the end, but if Amma chases with me, we just kill them there.
Attack middle lane.
Like, I saw her run with me, but we were beside the blue buff. And then when I fucking stunned the Afro, I'm just alone.
Your team has destroyed a
Also,
middle
another
summit
problem
tower.
is, if I go DPS, and I'm playing against someone like Gabu, they'll probably take advantage of that. Like, he even kind of did this game, like he just invades blue. Goes under, they invade blue, and I'm never getting the XP that I need to actually carry a game. There's few carries that I can actually play and still be able to control my own jungle. Anubis is up in the air, that usually depends on what you're against in lane as well.
The enemy team has destroyed the Pyromancer. Your left
I'm not
tower
really sure
is
what I
under
could pick that would be the best carry for me. Like, it's probably something like Mordred, to be real with you. It might not be a carry, but he is someone I can somewhat easily, I guess, get control of my lane just because of the nature of the god. And then start rotating a lot faster just because of the nature of his ultimates. You know? He's a good ganker as well. Just overall a strong character to control stuff with.
The enemy team has destroyed the Gold Fury. Unstoppable.
I would evade his blue, but I don't think I can get it without Sunder, so... And I need to keep that shit in case they do fire.
Enemies incoming.
Your left tower is under attack. Your left tower has been destroyed. Your middle tower is under attack.
Enemies and fire giant.
Killing spree.
Projection deployed.
We need war. Retreat!
That's good. I mean, we kind of controlled it a bit there. It's just tough. We gotta deal with the Jingwei mainly, and we did do that there. So that was big. Not a kill, but at least we forced her ult. And I'm unsure if she beats.
Group up.
But I'm just gonna keep yoinking my rocks.
Retreat!
Dude! Ow! My ass. They're just so grouped, man. They have such a hard comp to go in on. They really do.
The enemy team has destroyed the pyramids. Your middle tower is under attack.
I need Nemean next.
Your right phoenix is under attack. An enemy has been slain. Your team
That's big.
has destroyed a left enemy tower.
Lord the fire giant.
Like, are they on it? Do we know, boys?
Enemy ultimate down.
Luckily for us, they're not. But I feel they definitely could have.
Enemies of the Gold Fury. Enemies at the fire giant. Attack the Gold Fury.
We gotta go in, man. Chase them. Chase them, team. God damn it. I felt like it was just me and Amma up there. But oh well. Still a good fight. Like, it shows that we can actually fight back now, which is nice.
Gang.
An ally has been slain.
Oh. That was not good. Losing Isa for us is real bad. And I don't have my beats this time. Dude, my ult isn't going off, man.
The enemy team has destroyed the fire giant.
Oh well, that sucks. All because Isa can't just stay chill, stay safe. I don't understand the constant need to want to gank. We actually just have the better fight now.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Because we have the Gabrakan.
Your middle tower has been destroyed.
Tragic. Is them having a hard engage on comp justify you waiting on them to engage to counter engage? Yes, exactly. But Izanami doesn't like that idea, I suppose. It's exactly what we need to do.
Is under attack.
Because we have Geb. Like, we have the perfect defensive tank. You know, we want to wait for them to do something and then counter initiate. If we want to initiate, I have to be the one doing it on the Jingwei, but that's pretty much it. Every time we've won fights, it's been counter initiations. And it's been great. We've done really well with it.
Your left phoenix is under attack.
How are we still getting pulled? Dude, Izanami's... She's getting on my nerves. How are you getting hurt pulled? Stay the fuck back. Do the ADC thing and don't do shit. Right? Wait for them to initiate. Lose my mind. Like, you're just gonna back into gold now. But oh boy, could I really use that Nemean line.
The enemy team has destroyed the Gold Fury.
we pushed up decent now, but hopefully we just need to, or we can just hold on and be there in time for when they start pushing. Though Izanami, no. At this point, Izanami's job is just trying to give me a heart attack. That's a terrible K-bolt.
Your right phoenix is under attack. Your left phoenix is under attack.
Dude,
Has been slain.
how many times is this man gonna get pulled?
Under attack. An ally has been slain. Your middle phoenix.
Like, we just lost off of that as well. I mean, I guess we lost as well, because they just all dying in each lane. Like,
Your right phoenix is
what can I even do about
Titan is under
that's right? Nothing. Hey Jack, what's up, man?
Defeat.
Once again, just feels like a skill diff. Could be a god diff. Izanami is kind of just a shit ADC in general. But with zero jungle pressure this game, Izanami kept doing things and died for it, which was so bad for us. We needed her to just stay in the back and kill whoever ended up jumping on us. I think Gep did alright. He had some weird positioning, but I generally think he did fine. And the fact he did more damage than Izanami as well as the Amma is real rough. He just did a lot of damage though, to be fair. He even did more than Hades. I do think the biggest part of this was the jungle diff, just in terms of presence. I think the what I saw from Amma was fine, like he played fine, but Fenrir is just naturally better, and I think Fenrir had a lot more pressure. That one somehow was the closest game I've had today, though. I'll just pick whatever next game. I don't want to try hard anymore. No more playing Cabrakan, because it doesn't fucking matter. It does not fucking matter. Whoops. Okay, does that just slow? I guess I take damage and then it slows me as well. D. Oh no, that's terrible. Spark pickup range. That's kind of nice. I think I'll do that. Give me more coins so I can get stronger. Coins. More coins. Yeah, this is out now. It's the full game. And it's great. I'm having a lot of fun with it. Alright, Tura. Have fun, man. Have a good day. Catch weeboos. Weebos. I'm looking for weeps? Where are they at? Oh, I see one. Oh shit, it's on a timer. Motherfucker, they're fast. They're Naruto running. Come back. Dude, what the fuck? This is not easy. These fuckers are faster than me. I didn't catch one. Shard failed. God damn. That's just straight up a failure. That ruined my run because I couldn't catch a weeb. That's terrible. I don't know if there's any permanent upgrade for this game though. Because this is just very much just a roguelike, but I don't think I've seen any perma upgrades. Might have missed it though, because I do skip all the dialogue here. Just go with a big one to start with. Might as well. Why must the queue be so long today? I don't know, can I actually just use this a little bit? I'm not sure. Like the gravity fields? Oh, I am banning again. Let me just do that. Otherwise I'm just gonna forget it again.
Select.
I don't know what to pick though. What am I supposed to pick? I'll do Hades. Fuck it. What do we got? Restore 3 health. Boost gain. Guess I'll restore some health. See how far I can get. Restore 1 health. Damn it. I knew it. That was gonna happen. I knew it. Is the game progression? Haven't seen Metal Resource or anything. It seems to just be a roguelike from what I've played so far as well. This is also my first day playing it. Like when you die, you return to the beginning. What it looks after you defeat the boss battle, I'm not too sure. Maybe it saves, maybe it just... Yeah, I don't know. Oh my god, why is it so framey all of a sudden? Just end it there. It's weird, like it's not a game I think that should be framey. I think it's framey because I'm also like playing Smite. There is something weird about it. This really smells like an Aegis game, but if I get Finra bitten, I'm just dead as well, so... I think I'll take the chance though. It's Gabu again. Oh, and Nikon Cupid. Oh shit. Well... I mean, surely he's ADC, right? I hope it's not Cupid in my lane, because that actually will be super shit for me to do with this Hades. Oh. I already get a bad feeling about this game. If my jungler doesn't know where to start.
Minions have spawned.
Alright. At least it's Cupid ADC.
Take this jungle buff.
I'm against Chuck though. I highly doubt anything's really gonna happen in this matchup. suck at auto attacks. That's crazy.
That's not how this was supposed to go.
Follow me.
Enemies behind us.
Retreat.
Be careful, middle. I'll attack on the way. Okay. Be careful, left. Enemies behind us.
I guess he yoinked my rocks.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Well, no, they shouldn't be up just yet. They should be up now, though.
Sun's embrace.
Thanks. The star is speaking. Your middle tower is under attack.
Damn it. Close. Actually, shell div.
Behind us.
Why does he have shell?
On my way.
That is definitely a weird pickup. On a chuck. I could still see Blink being picked up. I could still obviously see like Aegis and things like that. I think Shell is one of the weirder ones.
Enemy ultimate incoming.
Granted, I can't really say it's bad, because Shell just isn't bad.
May the dawn's first light bless your journey. May the dawn's first
Wow.
light bless your journey.
Retreat. Retreat.
Okay. Okay.
For Ymold? Yeah, I mean, it could be for the Ymold, but it's just specifically for him. It seems strange. It's just something that benefits the Chuck very much.
Your middle tower is under attack. Your right tower is under attack.
But yeah, I get you. I mean, Shell always has some use. I don't think it's ever bad to pick up. Let's be real.
On my way. Okay. Left lane.
Enemy missing. Gank left lane. Your left tower is under attack.
May the dawn's first light bless your journey.
We have a 4-man rotation, 2 left. Surely we get at least 1 kill here, boys. I believe in you. I'll be watching from the map.
An ally has been slain.
2 for 1, not too bad, but it does suck that Artemis died.
Your middle tower is under attack. Be careful, enemies incoming! Enemies incoming! Okay. Your Your middle tower is under attack. Your middle tower is under attack.
Okay, it's an ult.
Defend left lane. Enemy missing. Ultimate is ready.
Damn.
Enemy ultimate
May the
down.
gods first light bless your journey.
An ally has been slain.
Ultimate is ready.
Gang! Gang! Enemies behind us! Enemy missing right. Yes!
Whatever is happening around mid, it looks very unfortunate. They seem to be getting out with very low HP.
I'll attack right lane. Enemy missing.
This dude Nightblockers though. Love to see it.
Okay.
That is unfortunate.
Yeah, I guess so.
An enemy has been slain.
Interesting. Not really sure. I thought someone was coming for sure. Because that was a super weird.
Your left tower is under attack. An ally
Bait
has
gank
been
almost?
slain.
Like a bait fight, I should say.
An ally has been slain. Enemies at the Gold Fury. Gang! Retreat left lane. Gang!
Artemis, please, get here.
An ally has been slain. The enemy team has destroyed the Gold Fury.
Oh, okay. I don't have ult for this, so I mean it's just cooked.
An ally has been slain. That's not how this was supposed to go.
We shouldn't even have gone in.
Your right tower is under attack. I'll attack left lane. Your left tower is under attack. Be careful, middle.
Ultimate is down.
The star is speaking. Retreat, middle lane.
Yeah, I think he's doing actually pretty well, to be honest. We also seem to be winning some trades around mid. It's just the problem is we seem to not be able to finish them off.
Killing spree.
Like right there, Fenrir getting out with 1 HP again. That's just unfortunate.
Your middle tower is under attack. has arrived.
That's big for me. Yeah, I mean, Rob with Aegis is gonna, dude, he's gonna be such an easy kill for me.
Ally has been slain.
As long as I can make sure that I'm not wasting my ult, like my free ult ability, while his Aegis is active, he should still just die every time I ult. I do have to be careful though. If he just beams me as well as ults me, I will still take a lot of damage when I ult him.
An ally has been slain.
Chuck's build is it's so old school.
Enemy missing. Excellent.
Uh-oh.
Artemis, what are you doing?
Your right tower is under attack. An enemy has been slain. Help! 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 Rampage!
Let's get this tower.
Is that how you... oh wait, you're building transit. Okay, nah, you're bad anyway, it's good. You're a fucking bot going aspect, it's fine. You're shit anyways. I'm really sorry, Artemis. I did not see you build that shit. Just tells me how fucking bad you are.
What wasn't enough? He had to say it a second time. In the same sentence.
An ally has been slain.
That's too bad.
Yes.
An ally has been slain.
Enemy missing right.
That is
You're the
unfortunate.
star of the show.
Okay.
You're the star of the show.
Okay. Enemy ultimate down.
Unstoppable. Your middle
Don't fucking
tower is
surrender,
under
man.
attack.
Always surrender this.
Tower is under attack.
I'm not even that far behind. People lost all mental in like last 2 minutes. That's good. We got gold as well.
Right there.
Holy shit.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Your left tower is under attack.
It just doesn't make any sense to me, man. People are so focused on what everyone else is doing that they forget that they have their own brain that needs to function. Just play the game, man. I don't get it. Stop worrying about everyone else. Yeah, that was huge for us. Big gold steal. Like, we're just back to being even, basically. Biggest difference is still XP.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Let's grab this before I go back to my lane.
Enemy missing.
Behind us.
An enemy has been slain. Enemy missing right. Your middle tower is under attack. Your left tower is under attack. Your left tower has been destroyed.
Enemies in the left jungle.
Your left tower is under attack.
Say you need it. Maybe.
Interesting.
An enemy has been slain. An enemy has been slain.
Alright, I was gonna
Your
TP,
middle
but
tower
they're
is
doing just
under
fine.
attack.
If we kill Ra here, we just get like we just get fire.
Killing spree.
Shine so bright.
Has been slain. Attack fire giant. Deicide. Your team has destroyed the fire giant.
Fire giant.
The star is speaking.
On my
Be careful, middle.
Your team has destroyed the pyromancer.
Okay, now we're in a great spot.
Wards! We need wards!
Ultimate is down.
We need wards!
You have morbid taste.
Attack the Gold Fury. Ultimate is down. Attack the Gold Fury. Careful, middle.
Your team has destroyed the gold fury. On my way. An ally has been slain. You have slain an enemy. Attack middle lane.
Didn't want to get too close. I think he just ult me.
Your team has destroyed a middle enemy tower. An ally has been slain. This is upon us.
Wait, we're losing a 3v4 here.
Shut down.
But how?
Yo, Hades, my man, you good?
How did you lose this? You were
minute
one
around
man
the
up?
fucking-
An ally has been slain.
You know you're the MVP in any team fight.
Your middle
It was a 4v4 though. I don't think you guys should have lost that this hard.
I was dead before the fight even happened.
Oh, so it's still my fault. That's crazy.
slain an enemy. Double kill. Killing spree.
Cupid's gonna be here. I have Aegis in case he ults me.
Your middle tower is under attack.
I'm only really the most valuable player on our team when I have my ult up. If my ult's down, I still won't be able to do anything.
The pyromancer has arrived.
Alright, we haven't really gotten shit with this fire giant. much for me to go do either way.
Be careful, middle.
Yes. Double kill. Okay. Your left tower is under attack.
Vegas down, right?
Your left tower has been destroyed. Attack the Titan! My bad! Attack the minions! Again. Maybe. Okay. Killing spree!
Okay. Nice job.
Attack. Catch you later!
Okay. Never mind, I guess. Sure, just press 3. That's on me.
Double kill! Triple kill! Killing spree!
Is unfortunate.
Like, this team mechanically seems fine. The main problem with this team seems to be that they don't understand that we need to simply just
Your middle tower
group
is
once
under
we've
attack.
like gotten what once we've won the fight. What the fuck, Emmanuel, was that?
The enemy team has
Dude, Emmanuel got so fat against me in a few games ago. How is this happening now? What is wrong with today?
Yo, Artemis, have you thought of uninstalling the game yet?
You're so rude, man. Why are you being so rude?
I got my reasons, bro, don't worry.
There's no good reason to be rude, man. Unless they're rude to you first.
enemy team has destroyed the pyramids.
By actions, yeah, man.
Your right tower is under attack.
I would have been pissed at you as well if you just let me go alone on chalk without helping me, right? Doing minions. So that's my reason.
What the fuck am I lacking like crazy now? You guys see this shit too?
I was trying to save his lane, just left me alone there to die.
Brother, what the fuck is happening to my game right now? It's just Smite.
The enemy team has destroyed the Gold Fury.
What the fuck? Are you done? What the fuck was that?
Be careful.
But no, this Asano has a screw loose. His logic doesn't really add up. I understand why he's annoyed at the Artemis for not helping earlier. But the logic... Oh my god. The logic of he was being an ass, so I'm gonna do the same thing. It's just, it never makes sense, man. Oh well, we lost. We lost Left Phoenix anyway. It just doesn't matter, man. I cannot win today no matter what I do.
Double kill.
I think this is my last game either way. Yeah, I need to leave after this game, so... What a shit day, man, in terms of winning. That's so bad. I feel like this game was in our hands for the majority of it. And then Emmanuel decided he didn't want to play the game, or... Just end the game! I want to get out. This sucks. Yeah, whatever.
Artemis, end it. Just end it. Just jump off the map, okay, please.
Defeat.
Damn. Well, now I can report him for harassment. He told someone to do the thing. Told someone to off themselves. In voice chat. You can't do that stuff, man. Don't do that. That's just weird. Yeah, I mean, that guy is sad. That was just sad display. The thing is, if you get so mad in a video game that you decide to be that rude to someone, do something else. It's very simple. It's not helping you either. You're clearly in a mental space that is not healthy for you. Games are supposed to be fun. Sometimes people make them unfun, that is true. But I don't think Artemis, outside of being a bit annoying and trolling, did more than, you know, just like, okay, let's surrender, let's go again type of mindset. The fact that you want to tell people that stuff is just... You're lowering yourself as a human being to go tell someone to do that shit. It's so bad and stupid. And you literally just... You're throwing your own respect out the window when you do that stuff. But anyway, guys, I need to leave, and I don't really think I want to play much more today. I feel like not only am I losing every game just because I get the team diff, it's also just the fact that everyone is rude. Every game. Every game someone is rude and being stupid. But I actually want to see how much did I lose today in terms of SR. Am I getting demoted? I'm getting close. I won 2 games today, and it was Anubis and Cernunnos. The one... Dude, all the games I tryharded, I lost. Thor, Double Cabrakan, Mordred, Hades. Granted, it wasn't on me. But it is what it is. I'm leaving, guys. I don't want to play anymore today. I've had enough. I'm still in a good mood, though, and I don't want to ruin that. So, thank you guys for watching. I really do appreciate it. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.